Well, it's the middle of June and I'm already thinking about the holidays. What do vegans eat for the holidays? Well, I'll tell you what I eat. I eat the UnTurkey, which is what I'm making right here. I'm going to pull it out of the oven in a minute and I'm going to sink my teeth into that delicious, succulent seitan and the crispy skin, the stuffing, the luscious gravy. I'm so hungry. I've been cooking all afternoon. Okay, here is the UnTurkey coming out of the oven in all its glory. Oh my gosh, that looks so delicious. This is a whopper of an unbird. Look at that. I'm going to baste it one more time with a special basting liquid that I cooked the UnTurkey in. Get it to all glisten. There we go. And now I'm going to carve it up and serve myself. Now this is the perfect centerpiece to any holiday table, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. It satisfies vegans, vegetarians, omnivores, and it's just sort of amusing and fun. I've been making this for years. I wrote about it in my first cookbook, The Now and Zen Epicure, over 20 years ago. And then when I had my business, we sold thousands of these unbirds. I'm going to pull this out. Look at that. All with that delicious gravy I'm going to pour on top. I'm going to sneak right into the bird and pull out some of that stuffing. Why wait until Thanksgiving when you can have it in June? Okay. Pour that gravy on top. And after I take a bite, I'm going to show you how I made it. Oh. I think the oven is telling me that it's ready. Okay. That is a taste of Thanksgiving. All right, now let me show you how I made it. What makes the UnTurkey so delicious is the very special secret seasoning mixture, which I'm about to reveal right now. Now, this seasoning goes into every aspect of the UnTurkey, from the seitan to the gravy to the stuffing, and you'll find so many other uses for it in your kitchen as well, too. This light yeast flavoring powder that I'm going to use for the UnTurkey is delicious in all sorts of dishes where you want a poultry-like flavor. To make it, it's really simple. You start out with 2 cups of nutritional yeast. These are nutritional yeast flakes full of B vitamins and protein, and absolutely delicious. You're going to add 2 tablespoons of sea salt. You're going to add 1 teaspoon each of ginger and turmeric. You're going to add 2 teaspoons each of black pepper, marjoram, tarragon, paprika, and rosemary. And finally, 4 teaspoons each of sage, celery seed, thyme, garlic powder, and onion powder. Put the lid on the blender, and we just have to turn it on. And that's it. Your seasoning powder is ready. Okay, now we're ready to make the meat of the unbird. We're going to start out with 3 cups of water, which I have in this bowl here. And I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's about 3 tablespoons. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of garbanzo bean flour. It's also known as chickpea flour. And a generous 1/4 cup of the wonderful seasoning mixture we just made. And I'm just going to kind of stir that up for a second to get it all distributed. And then very finally, we're going to add 4 cups of vital wheat gluten, which is the high protein part of the wheat. And all we have to do is mix this up. We don't need to knead it or anything, just stir to combine. At the very end, I just like to get my hands in there and kind of combine it all like that, and kind of scrape the sides of the bowl as I go along. Cleans up the bowl too, otherwise it kind of is a little hard to clean. Okay, that's all we have to do. And now we're just going to put it right here on this sheet pan, and we're going to pre-bake it for about 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven, and then we have to simmer it for about an hour on the stovetop. All right, ready to put this in my oven? Pre-baking for 30 minutes does is that it allows it to expand to the size that we want it to be, so that when we simmer it in the water, it doesn't just balloon out of shape and turn into this spongy mass. So after it's baked for about 30 minutes, it comes out all puffed up and beautiful. And then it deflates and kind of looks like this. But that's fine. It's going to be beautiful once we enrobe it all in that wonderful yuba skin. Now we're ready to simmer it in a tasty broth. All right, now we're ready to cook the seitan. So I'm going to take the seitan that we baked and I'm going to put it into a pot of water. Now you can use a larger pot if you like. It's not going to expand that much more, but it will expand a little bit. So be sure that you've got plenty of room in there. Now we're going to add our delicious seasoning again. And I don't know, depending on the amount of water you have in the pot, probably want to add about a half a cup or so. And then we're going to add a little bit of soy sauce, maybe about a third of a cup of soy sauce. And just kind of give that a stir. And this is going to render a delicious broth that's going to go into our stuffing as well as our gravy. So, okay, now we're just going to cover that. And we have to watch it so that it doesn't boil over. And this has to simmer for about an hour. Now, during the cooking, you might want to taste the broth and see if it's flavored enough. If it's not, add a little bit more of that special secret seasoning and maybe a dash of soy sauce. In the meantime, we're going to start on our stuffing. So, I've got a pan heated here, and I'm going to add about a generous half a cup or so of canola oil. Now, this is not a dish. This is the holidays, remember. I know, it may be June when we're actually making this video, but this is for the holidays, and you can actually freeze the UnTurkey for a long time. So, as I was saying, this isn't the time to really watch your fat intake. A little bit of canola oil, okay, a lot of canola oil, or olive oil, or whatever you'd like to use as your fat there, helps to make the stuffing really luscious. So, okay, I've got one large onion, about 3 or 4 carrots, and 3 or 4 stalks of celery, which I've diced, and I'm just sauteing it all together. Into my pan, I'm going to add a pinch of sea salt, and we're just going to saute that for about 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be completely tender because it will continue to cook inside the UnTurkey, and it'll get plenty tender enough. Okay, so we're just going to let that cook for a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I have here, let me just move this. I've got a pan of breadcrumbs. This is just ciabatta bread, which I cubed and then I toasted in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or so to dry it out. Now, if you want to air dry it, you can do that as well too. Just leave it on a sheet pan and just let it sit at room temperature for a day or two and it'll dry out. But the drier it is, the more the juices it will absorb and you'll get that juicy, tender stuffing that you want. Okay, now the veggies are ready. They're not super tender yet. They're going to further be cooked inside the stuffing. I'm going to add it right here to my bowl of breadcrumbs. The celery, the onions, the carrots, cooked in a good dose of canola oil, as I mentioned earlier. Now we're going to add some spices to this. So I've got about a tablespoon or so of sage, some thyme, some rosemary, and then just a little bit of celery seed. Okay, now we're going to mix all of that up. And then we're going to moisten this with our, there we go. Use a few breadcrumbs. I should probably have used a larger bowl there. So I'll try to do this very gingerly. Now what you want to do is mix all of this up before we add the broth to get the oil soaking into the breadcrumbs, and that prevents the stuffing from getting too soggy. It'll be very tender and soft and juicy and moist, but it won't get soggy. So mix all of that up there, and we'll just clean up later. Okay, now we're going to add the stock. Here's the seitan that's bubbling away. It needs about another hour or so, but I've got a pot already of the seitan that I cooked earlier, and so the broth is ready, and as you can see, it's this wonderful brown color, and we're just going to put this right into the stuffing. And I don't know, about 3 or 4 cups of the stock, maybe 3 cups or so. And we'll give that a stir. And you want to keep adding it until the breadcrumbs are nice and moist. Looks like you could use a little bit more. So. Okay, that's our basic bread stuffing. Now to this you can add a chopped apple, some sauteed mushrooms, chestnuts, just about anything you like to make it, you know, take it over the top there. But this is your basic bread stuffing. Okay, we're going to be ready to stuff the turkey as soon as this finishes cooking. Now we're going to cut the seitan. I've got the one that we made today, it's simmering away, but here's the one that I made yesterday. It's nice and cool. You don't want to handle it when it's really, really hot. I'm going to put it right here on my cutting board, and you can see what it looks like. And what we're going to do is find the part that we want to be the top of the turkey. I think perhaps, let's see, I think that's good. This is the wider part, so I'm going to cut the wide part off. This is going to be the base of the UnTurkey. We're going to come for about 1 inch or so and cut it again in half and kind of open it up like that. That's going to form the base of the UnTurkey. Now, here's the cut side. Take my knife and I'm going to cut it this way so that it opens up and it's still connected at the top like that. All right? So now that is how I'm going to make the UnTurkey and stuff it. Now that's ready. Now we're ready to make the skin. I'm just going to put it back in the liquid for a minute. All right, to make the delectable, crispy, succulent skin, we're going to be using yuba, which is an Asian product. It's the skin that forms on soy milk when you heat it. It's like, you know, when you used to make hot chocolate as a kid and you left the milk too long, you get a skin. Well, that's what yuba is, and it looks like this. They make it in these big 55-gallon drums, and then you take the skin off and you hoist it over a bamboo pole and it turns into yuba. Now this is a fresh frozen one that I bought at an Asian grocery store, but now there's a fresh one that you can buy refrigerated, and this one is delicious as well. Now, if you use the fresh frozen one, you have to reconstitute it in water before you can use it. It makes it more pliable. And by the way, it dries really fast, so you want to make sure you don't have it exposed to air for too long. So what we're going to do is put about 2 sheets of this into a pan of water, just to let it reconstitute. And once it's reconstituted, it will end up looking more like the fresh, which is, as you can see, really soft and pliable already without having to soak in water. Okay, all right, I'm just going to get rid of this yuba for a minute. Now, this by itself isn't all that tasty, so we want to make it tasty by creating a fabulous basting liquid, and of course, the basting liquid is going to feature our very special seasoning that we made earlier. So we're going to add about 1/4 cup of the seasoning. And I've got some white wine. We're going to add equal quantities, about 1/2 cup each of white wine and canola oil. And mix that up. And this is our basting liquid for the UnTurkey. And now, look at this yuba. It's been soaking for about 1 minute or so, and it's turning into this nice white color, sort of like the fresh variety. And we're going to take this 1 sheet at a time. That's not cooperating. There we go. Yeah, if you soak it for too long, it will get very soft. So you want to make sure that you don't over soak it, and we're just going to put it right into our basting liquid. Take the other one as well. You want to squeeze most of the water out of that and get rid of this pan here. All right, now we're ready to assemble the UnTurkey. So we take a piece of our skin that's soaking in the basting liquid, and we're going to put it down right in our pan. The dish that we're going to bake in, I've got a really pretty one right here, and we'll just kind of let it hang over the sides like that. All right, now we're going to take the base of the seitan that we cut. We're going to put it right down here on the ground, or right on the bottom there. And now we take a lot of our stuffing, a big pile of stuffing. Now you're not going to get all that stuffing into this pan, so you have to cook some of it separately in a baking dish. Well, we might be able to get most of it in there. But it's a lot of fun to have stuffing inside of this seitan unburred here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You want to mount it up as high as you can, like that. And then we take a piece of seitan that is going to form the body of the turkey and put it right on top like that. Okay, now we gather up our yuba. And obviously that's not quite enough, so we've got another piece soaking here in our basting liquid, or soaking liquid. We are going to be basting with it as well too, so I call it basting liquid. And we're going to enrobe the entire turkey. Try to cover it up as much as you can. Tuck the end pieces underneath here. And get it all tucked beautifully. You know what, if you want to have extra thick skin, you can add another piece. We'll put some of the fresh yuba in there as well too. And this comes out so crispy and tender. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really, really is. There we go. Okay, now the UnTurkey is ready to go in the oven. And it's going to bake for about 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes or so, if it's just been made like now. Now, if it's been frozen, you can freeze this for up to 6 months. It'll take about a day for it to thaw in the refrigerator, and then you want to bake it for at least an hour so that everything gets nice and cooked on the inside. So we're going to put this in the oven. You know, I just want to tell you a little bit about how I came up with the UnTurkey. It was in Japan about, oh gosh, 30 years ago or so. I was living in Japan, and some friends of mine asked me about Thanksgiving. And they wanted to know what turkey tasted like. And I said, I don't really know, I'm a vegetarian. So I said, but I'll tell you what, I'll make you a vegetarian turkey. So I got into my kitchen, my laboratory, and I just got cooking. I made up this crazy dish, the UnTurkey, and the rest is history. If you really want to make your holiday easy, you can just roast some vegetables along with the UnTurkey. So I've got some Brussels sprouts cut up here. Just going to toss it right into my pan. Some baby carrots. And that ding was the oven telling me that it's ready. And then I'm just going to drizzle a little bit more of that basting liquid right on top of the veggies. Okay, now my UnTurkey is ready to go in the oven. Oh, that is heavy. And in about an hour, we'll have a feast. Now we're going to go to making the gravy. Once again, we're going to take advantage of the delicious stock that we made simmering the UnTurkey. So I've got a pan here. It's nice and hot. We're going to start out by adding some canola oil to it. About a quarter cup there. And we'll just get that nice and hot for a minute. A few tablespoons of just regular all-purpose flour. And we're going to make a roux by just cooking that for a minute. Okay, it looks a little dry. I'm going to moisten that with just a touch more oil. This is changing things up a bit. This is olive oil because I'm out of canola here. And we're going to cook that just for a minute. And then we're going to add the broth. Best if you can add a hot stock to prevent the gravy from getting lumpy. And once again, we're using the stock that we cooked the seitan in. So it's all going to have the same sort of flavor. Add some more of that stock there. And a whisk also helps to prevent lumps. Just give that a stir. Okay, I'm going to add a splash of white wine. Sort of gives it a sophisticated flavor. And a dash of soy sauce for color. And then we're going to taste it. And if it's not right, we can add some more of that wonderful seasoning that we made. So, but it's coming along really nicely there. Let me grab a tasting spoon. It's coming along. I'm going to add just another tablespoon of this. So, you see what we did with the seasoning? We used it in the stock to cook the seitan. We use it as the basting liquid for the skin. We're making gravy with it. Put it in the seitan. And you can also coat tofu with it and bake it, and it gets really nice and crispy and tasty as well too. This is also a wonderful seasoning for roasting vegetables. Okay, so that gravy looks phenomenal, and as soon as the seitan comes out of the oven, we're going to have a fantastic UnTurkey feast in the middle of June. In all its glory, oh my gosh, that looks so delicious. A perfect appetizer to serve right before your Thanksgiving UnTurkey feast is, of course, some vegan cheese. I've got a whole slate of them in my book, Artisan Vegan Cheese. Be sure to check it out and make yourself some tasty herb cheese, cheddar, whatever you like. It's in my book. Well, that sure was yummy. Thanks for joining me again in my kitchen. Now I gotta clean up. See you next time.